It's official. America's AAA credit rating has now been downgraded by every single agency.
America is addicted to debt.
We are.
We'll tell you the one thing that could actually change that.
Now, Yetis, fun little scenario here Jack and I are playing with. Let's say you're a bond, a financial bond, and you go out on a dinner date with
an investor.
Yeah, if you go out with an investor and you're a bond and you're like, you want to hook up.
The investor is going to ask you, the bond, what's your fiscal situation?
Well, America's answer is a huge beige flag.
There are $36 trillion of debt. That's our fiscal situation.
It's actually a red flag now that I think about it, Jack.
Which is why, for the first time, Moody's, the credit rating agency, downgraded the United States of America.
America's debt is the dating equivalent of, I still actually live with my ex, and I owe her money.
The most awkward situationship you can imagine.
Well, Moody's stripped us of our AAA credit score that they initially granted 126 years ago back in 1919.
To sprinkle on some historical context, the other two ratings agencies already downgraded the U.S. back in 2011 and 2023.
And to sprinkle on some geographical context, Canada, Germany, the EU, Singapore, and 7 other nations still have their perfect AAA ratings.
But the United States does not.
That's right. You can't point to Luxembourg on a map, but that little country still got a AAA rating, and we don't. So we know what you're thinking, besties. Why did the United States just get downgraded?
We already told you. We got $36 trillion worth of skeletons in our closet.
That's right. We are addicted to debt.
We're so addicted, we need more closets for our debt.
Get this. Since 2009, the United States has run up budget deficits of more than $1 trillion 9 different times.
Democratic presidents increase spending. Republican presidents cut taxes. The math isn't mathing.
So our budget gap gets bigger and bigger no matter who happens to be in office. The debt gets higher and higher and higher.
The latest is Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill, which is about to be voted by the House.
Tax cuts without funding? That's expected to increase the debt by an additional $4 trillion in this case.
Now, the logical response to all this fiscal irresponsibility?
What is it, Jack?
Well, since the U.S. is less likely to pay you back, holders of U.S. debt deserve a higher interest rate.
But here's the interesting thing, besties. What Jack just said, that hasn't happened.
So far, investors have not punished the U.S. with higher interest rates.
It's almost like if we splurged on our credit card and just blew through the limit of that Amex, Jack,
Instead of canceling our card and demanding repayment, Amex just keeps increasing the credit limit.
That's basically what the United States is experiencing right now. We keep splurging, but no one's holding us accountable.
There have been so few consequences to the United States for our addiction to debt so far.
Which is why voters have stopped caring about debt, and politicians, they just ignore it too.
But on Monday, we're starting to see the first signs that all of that could be changing.
And that sign is our takeaway. So, Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies who are everyone in America?
The one thing that could fix our debt problem is if the world starts making us pay for it.
Yetis, wild thing. On Monday, the markets did something they never do. They penalized America with higher interest rates.
The interest rate on the 30-year U.S. government bond hit 5%. That's up from just 4% in September.
Which means it'll now cost us more to borrow money through bonds.
To sprinkle on some more context, 5% for the U.S., that's nearly twice as much as what investors charge Germany for their debt.
So, Jack, how about we go back to our credit card analogy with American Express for a second?
Investors are still raising America's credit limit, but this time they're charging a higher interest rate.
Now, besties, if these interest rates continue rising on our bonds, just paying our interest that we owe could require spending cuts and tax increases from Congress.
Investors are treating the U.S. as no longer the most credit-worthy country in the world.
So the one thing that could actually fix our debt addiction, what is it, Jack?
If the world starts making us pay for it.